I feel like 2024 started off really strong in terms of albums dropping, at least compared to last year. So here's 10 albums that should be coming out relatively soon that I'm personally really excited for. But real quick before we get into it, my channel officially has the join button. You can now become a member and receive early access to my videos, as well as a personal shoutout at the end of them. And of course it just really helps me out with continuing to make videos for all of you. So join up if you're interested. Alright, let's jump in. Okay, so pretty obvious first pick here, I know, but I'm never gonna not be excited for a Kanye West album to come out, even if all signs are pointing to Vultures 2 being a significant step down from the first installment. For one, Kanye doesn't really have a good track record when it comes to sequel albums, and it seems like he's been more off the rails than ever nowadays, which definitely won't help with the curation of the record. Oh, and then there's the fact that Kanye and Ty announced that the album's not even gonna be on streaming services, but instead will be purchasable for $20. Now, on one hand, I do absolutely support artists getting paid more for their work from streaming services, given how criminally little they're paid right now. But on the other, why would I ever spend $20 for an album that's just gonna get ripped onto YouTube within an hour of it releasing? So while I am still excited for the record to drop, I can't help but feel like this release will be pretty lackluster, all things considered. That is, if it even comes out.
2024 music.
Another artist infamous for just never dropping on time, we have playboi Carti, with his upcoming third studio album, presumably titled I Am Music. Now, I am definitely a big Carti fan in general, but to be brutally honest, the singles he's been dropping have been pretty whatever to me overall. The only song I'd consider to be amazing out of the batch is 2024. I love that upbeat instrumental, and Carti's refrains are super infectious for the most part. Hood by Air and his newest single, Ketamine, also have really great beats, but incoming hot take here, I think the deep voice that Carti's been putting on as of late is by far the least appealing out of his common vocal styles. And for me, he really drags down what would be otherwise good tracks like the two I mentioned earlier, as well as Backrooms and especially Evil Jordan. And besides the music itself, I think Carti's rollout in general has been extremely underwhelming given the amount of hype there's been for him to drop. Of course there was that whole Aiden Ross scamming situation which just made him come off as so lame. And by now we've gotten a whopping 6 singles with none on streaming services and still no release date in sight. Of course I still am pretty hyped given how long it's been since Whole Lotta Red dropped, but Carti better release this damn album soon since I really don't know how long the excitement around him is gonna last given the amount of shit he's been pulling. Moving on to my first pick with an actual release date, we've got the long-awaited Future and Metro Boomin collab record. Or should I say 2 records? If you don't know, in the first album trailer release, there's actually 2 dates displayed in the ending, leading to fans theorizing that we're either going to get a double album from the pair, or 2 entirely separate projects. And with the album title being We Don't Trust You, of course coming from Metro's iconic producer tag, my excitement levels are through the roof with this one. For one, I've just become a massive Future fan after taking a deep dive into his discography for my Drake vs. Future hit battle video I did a while back. And while I do personally think that Metro's a little overrated as a producer, I can't deny that him and Future have made some absolute classics together, so to finally get a collab album from them is super exciting. Now interestingly enough, Metro has actually said that the record will have no features, but at the same time he confirmed a track called Type Shit featuring Travis Scott and playboi Carti. So I'm assuming if we are getting 2 projects, one will just have Metro's standard roster of features and the other will be featureless, which does admittedly have me a little worried if the album ends up being on the longer side, but I guess only time will tell. Overall though, I'm just hoping we get Future and Metro in top form on here, since this record has some insane potential to be a future classic. Future and Metro definitely come close, but as for the release I'm the most hyped up for as of recording this, it's gotta be the new album the Weeknd has been teasing us as of late. To give you a gist of how excited I am for this record to drop, I was legitimately considering making an entire video about how the Weeknd will dominate 2024 should the album come out this year, and we haven't even gotten a single yet. Everything is just poised perfectly for a career-defining album and rollout right now. For one, Abel has confirmed that this is not only going to be the last album in this new trilogy consisting of After Hours and Dawn FM, but also the last album under the Weeknd alias. And while this is super sad to hear as a huge fan of his, at the same time I can only imagine what kind of quality music he's making in order to properly cap off a career as critically and commercially successful as his. There's also the fact that the Weeknd has been working more and more with legendary producer Mike Dean, leading to some incredible work from the two, including my favorite song of 2023, Artificial Intelligence. So assuming his amazing synth work is all over this new album, that's another automatic W. And to top everything off, the rollouts for both After Hours and Dawn FM have been 2 of the greatest the last few years, with such an insane level of storytelling and world building present in both. So it's more than likely that once the rollout for this final album in this trilogy properly begins, it'll also be fantastic. Like I said, everything is just primed perfectly for an album release that'll be talked about for years to come. And I for one could not be happier that one of the biggest artists in the world right now is still putting in a ridiculous amount of effort into both the album and its rollout, as opposed to just announcing it at the Grammys with the title, tracklist, and release date all confirmed immediately. Like, that's not fun.
First I'm a shredder, verse like I had a personal vendetta.
Okay, now I know this sounds ludicrous if you haven't been keeping up with Eminem for a while, but there's actually been a ton of Easter eggs hinting at an upcoming potential sequel to his classic 1999 album, the Slim Shady LP. Now first of all, I'd recommend this video by Crypt for more information since it's where I first heard about most of this stuff. But in short, here's every potential teaser we've gotten for this record. First off, the original Slim Shady LP recently had its 25th year anniversary, leading to M dropping a bunch of new merch for the record, including this suspiciously designed t-shirt pack. Then of course we got the Doomsday Part 2 music video on Lyrical Lemonade, which if anything does show that Eminem is still creating new music, thus sort of disproving the rumors of retirement that were going around a few months back. And if you go to Eminem's official website under the discography section, you'll notice that the original Slim Shady LP is listed on the store twice. And if you stay on that exact page and highlight this little white box, you can see text that says, quote, "Stay up to date, more releases to come." Now you could argue that some of these hints are a pretty big reach, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't pretty convinced at this point that we're gonna get some new Eminem music soon. And despite M's insane fall off in terms of musical quality, I still can't help but be hyped if this new record is actually gonna be a sequel to one of his most iconic records of all time.
Who I made this tape for, I tell the story 2 years later, for now the case closed.
On to the latter half of this list, we reach Baby Keem and his upcoming sophomore record, Child with Wolves. Now, I'll be honest and say that as of right now, there really hasn't been much in terms of a rollout, besides Keem teasing a potential cover on his Instagram through some iMessage group chats, as well as announcing the title earlier this year on Twitter. But I think the sheer potential Keem showed on his debut is absolutely carrying my hype for this upcoming release. While I didn't love the melodic blue overall, there were a pretty good amount of strong highlights like Trademark USA, Scapegoats, Lost Souls, Scars, Boomin, 16, and of course his collaborations with his cousin Kendrick Lamar. Plus there's the fact that Baby Keem had a hand in the production of nearly every track on Melodic Blue, which I think is a great testament of how talented he truly is given how consistently great the beats were. And what's crazy is that the man is only 23 years old. I really see nowhere to go but up for Baby Keem, especially considering he's got access to one of the greatest rappers of all time for some creative direction in his corner.
Don't get too optimistic.
Ever since the breakup of Brockhampton a few years back now, I've been starving for some more new releases from its former members, since I think all of the guys are fantastic musicians in their own right. And although Matt Champion isn't my favorite of the bunch, I've really enjoyed all the singles he's put out in preparation for this debut record of his. Aphid with Dijon was a gorgeous first single, then we got that really funky, nostalgic sounding track with a really emphatic performance from Matt on Slug, and then of course there's the collab with Jennie from Blackpink titled Slow Motion, which I'm really hoping will get Matt some more fans given how massive of an artist Jennie is. In addition to the singles being great, I love the visuals we've gotten from Matt during this rollout. Both the music videos and the shorter skits on his channel have created this super intriguing world for the album, that Matt himself described as a, quote, "remote but technologically sound community of cement-walled facilities, open plains, and greenhouse-like domes, at the center of which lies the album's namesake club, Mika's Laundry." Just another record that set up everything well, and I'm super hyped for it to drop, as well as for Matt's solo career moving forward. Although one last thing while we're still talking about Brockhampton members, I am praying that we will one day get a solo album from Bareface, since I'm confident that that man could legitimately make a 10 out of 10 record if he wanted to.
Can't stand it. Psycho, bandit.
So I recently gave Don Toliver's latest album, Lovesick, a re-listen, and it did end up growing on me a decent amount from when I originally reviewed it, especially with the deluxe being as good as it was. But all that's to say, I'm definitely back on the Don train with this recent rollout he's been on for his next record, Hardstone. I think Bandit was a really energetic and fun first single, with that great Tame Impala sample worked into the beat. And then Deep in the Water was a pretty nice mellow follow-up, with Don even giving the track some lyrical substance regarding his relationship with Kali Uchis and a recent pregnancy. But yet again, what's got me the most hype for this record to drop are the stellar music videos. Don Toliver's another artist that I think really excels when it comes to visuals and world building for records, and I love the direction it's been taking with this rollout specifically, with all the deep blue filters and the motorbikes and leather jackets. It's just a really cool aesthetic overall. Not much else to say honestly, but I just hope Don can come through with another truly great project like his debut. Out of every artist that I put on this list, Porter Robinson's gotta have by far the weirdest rollout for his new album. First off, we got this picture of Porter on Instagram with a caption saying that the album is done, followed by a little preview of some new music. But then things got really weird when Porter uploaded a video to his YouTube channel titled, quote, the day Porter Robinson deleted all of his music. I believe it's meant to be a parody of those YouTube channels that make video essays about certain topics, but it's framed as if the video is taking place in 2028, where the topic is about how Porter deleted all of his music on March 1st, 2024, which he didn't actually do. Like I said, it's super confusing marketing, and let me know if there's anything I'm missing with it, but the point is, we're definitely going to be getting a new album from Porter at least somewhat soon, which is awesome to hear. I admittedly became a Porter Robinson fan fairly recently, but I listened to Nurture for the first time about a year ago, and it has since become maybe my favorite album of the last decade. It is truly phenomenal. And in preparation for this new project dropping, I decided to check out his debut album, Worlds, and it unsurprisingly was also amazing. So I think it's safe to say that this new one is also going to be at least great, and I for one simply cannot wait.
New year, new me, new clothes. Get to the bag and double the hoes. Get away from.
Okay, just hear me out real quick. I know this seems like an insane final pick, especially considering what I had to say about Lil Mabu in my previous video, but I'd be lying if I said I still wasn't intrigued to see what his debut album will entail. Now don't get me wrong, I'm pretty confident that the record is going to be hot garbage, but that ironically makes me even more excited for it to finally drop. I've kinda set a little personal goal this year to listen to a lot more bad music, since I feel like while only listening to stuff I enjoy is nice, not only does it severely limit the amount of music I can consume and talk about, but it also makes it harder to discover new songs in general, since I tend to just want to listen to the stuff I already know is good. Hopefully that makes sense to you, but if not, just know that I truly cannot wait until Mabu drops this future classic. And chances are, if it's interesting enough to talk about, I'll probably make a video about it, so stay tuned for that. And with that, we finally reached the end of my list for the 10 albums I'm the most excited for in 2024. If you enjoyed, make sure to like the video, subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment telling me about some albums you're excited for this year. And also just another reminder that if you'd like to support the channel, you can now become a member and get early access to videos, as well as a special shout out from me at the end. But yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching.